Hey everybody, it's Amy from Magic and Light Collection. You can find all of our products at www.magicandlightcollection.com. So I wanted to do a little gypsy tutorial for you guys. I noticed a lot of you have been purchasing gypsy lately, and it's a really great way to get amazing color depth within your images. It's something that actions just can't achieve, and so it's something a little bit extra that works really well. I'm starting with this image of my baby boy Copper, and just in case you all are wondering, I do shoot in RAW, and so a lot of my before images are pretty, bland and gray, as most RAW images are. If you're shooting in JPEG, it looks a little bit better, but you really should be shooting in RAW for the best effect. So this is the image that we started with, and you can see there's a little black right here. That's my other dog, Bagger, who was trying to get into the picture, so I clone stamped him out. You can notice in this image that it's gone. So I have already run Peony from the Vintage Spring Action Set, which can also be found on our website. And you can see that I've run through the layers here in the layer palette, and I'll just really quickly tell you what I did. I brushed on a little sharp brush. May not be too noticeable to you guys. I'll turn it back on. Just sharpens things up a little bit. I brushed off a little bit of the Peony Boost off of the grass to bring back some of the green color. I did brush on some light brush onto Copper himself. This is without light brush. This is with light brush. And I brushed on quite a bit of the dark brush. So let's check that out. Turn it back on. I really wanted to bring the subject out a little bit more, so and darken the background. So dark brush is a really good way to achieve that. And then I also, on top, I ran brush on color from the spring brushes, and I just wanted to bring out the grass just a little bit, so you can see the before, and there's the after. It's a little bit more saturated. So now I just want to do a little bit extra and have a little bit more color depth. So I'm going to put an overlay from the Gypsy collection. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to File, Place, and I'm going to navigate to my Gypsy image files. So you'll go to wherever you have saved that once you unzip your files that you receive. I think I want to do Gypsy Dark Rainbow. So I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to place it on the image. I'm going to click the check mark at the top. Okay. So you can see that it has placed it in the middle. I'm going to need to move it so that it covers the entire image. And what I'm going to do is use the Move tool right here and make sure that all the handlebars are there. If they aren't appearing there, then you can go up here to the Show Transform Controls and make sure that this box is checked. Now when you move it, you can see that the proportions can get funny. It doesn't really matter on the overlays. You can really move them whichever way you want. But if you want the proportions to be constrained, then make sure that you hold down the Shift key as you're dragging the overlay. What I'm going to do is make this a little bit smaller and show you what it looks like as it goes across the image. So I've clicked on the Gypsy Dark Rainbow layer, and then I'm going to come here to the blending modes, and this determines how the overlay is placed on the image and how it affects the image. I'm going to try overlay first. Okay, so you can see that it immediately interacts with the image and changes those colors. I'm going to go off and go back on. If you look at the top, it's quite dramatic. So I want to go ahead and size it to the image and press the check mark. Okay, so the first thing that I'm noticing is that it is way too much on his face, and that this area right here is a little bit dark. So I'm just going to go to the handlebars. I have the move tool already selected, and I'm going to drag it over. You can see that it pulls that shadow in the bottom left hand corner out a little bit, and I'm just going to go until it looks pretty good. And that looks good to me. This, I like this little bit because it adds a little bit of a vignette. So I'm going to click the check mark. Okay. Now, to address this area on his face that doesn't look good, I'm going to use the eraser. So I'm going to go to the eraser tool right here. And you'll notice that it has a little, I'm going to just call it a no-no sign, for lack of a better word. Go ahead and click on it, and it's going to pop up with this message. Just press OK. And up here, I'm going to select my brush tool. I'm sorry, back to the eraser tool. And it's got an 82% opacity right now, and that sounds pretty good to me. So that's going to take off 82% of the effect. So I'm just going to go over his face with the eraser. I think on his nose and eyes it really is the worst. Okay, and just go over. I actually don't mind the color here on his body, but now it does not match his face. So I'm going to take down the opacity of the eraser to 35%-ish, and then I'm just going to go over his body so that it matches a tiny bit better. The shadows right here look a little bit too much to me, so I'm going to take those off, a little red. Okay, a little bit more off his face. If the effect is too strong for you, you can always make sure that you click on the layer, take down the entire opacity of the layer until you get, this is at 0, until you get the effect that you want. Bring it back. I'm going to say that that looks pretty good to me. It definitely makes a much more interesting image. And let's just look at where we started. This is the image that I started with, and this is our final product. So I hope you enjoy the tutorial and it clears up some things. If you're interested in the Gypsy collection or the Vintage Spring Action Set, you can find them both at www.magicandlightcollection.com.